Here are 5 spoiler-free tips and tricks to get you started in Granblue Fantasy Relink. Tip number 1. Get intimate with the dodge mechanic. Dodging in Granblue Fantasy Relink is deceptively simple but has some nuances to it. The more familiar and comfortable you are with how dodging works, the stronger the enemies you can tackle earlier on, giving you an edge in collecting rare loot and more XP, and who doesn't love better rewards. During most, if not all attack actions, you are able to freely cancel into a dodge or a block by pressing the respective button. This is a little bit different than a comparative action RPG in the Soulsborne series or Monster Hunter, where the game locks you into an animation where you can't dodge while you're doing an attack, and that makes a little bit of sense because the game is a fair bit faster with more stylish flourishes. Even better, if you time your dodge as close to an attack hitting you as possible, you're gonna gain a buff that makes you invincible for a short period of time, allowing you to go into more complex combo strings or longer attack chains without fear of getting punished. Learn this ASAP because the further you go into the game, especially if you plan on playing the endgame multiplayer raids, this might be the main way you deal significant damage outside of breaking an enemy. On the other hand, if you spam dodge 3 times in a row, you'll be forced to enter a recovery animation that you cannot cancel out of, potentially putting you at risk for getting killed. You can, however, mix in your attacks or blocks before your dodges to mitigate that recovery period. You can also use dodging to close the gap on your enemies, as most character dodges do travel quite a bit of distance. Dodging out of a skill before the skill becomes active seems to also refund the cooldown, making it much more forgiving. Overall, mastering the dodge mechanic will benefit you greatly because it is a universal mechanic accessible by all characters, so once you start learning more and different characters, you're gonna find yourself coming back to this dodge mechanic regardless of who you play. Tip number 2. Take advantage of the bonus drop rates in online quests when they become available. Based on developer interviews, certain quests will grant you additional rewards for a period of time, and these quests will rotate throughout the game's lifespan. So this can be a good way to save time while building up alternate characters that you may not even be interested in, but who knows, right? In the future, you may want to really play as a certain character, and you just happen to have a bunch of materials sitting there anyways. Also, I wouldn't doubt that a lot of people would be playing these quests with bonus rewards, so this may certainly be a great way to make new friends. With that said, let's move on to tip number 3. In the early game, I would recommend highly focusing on 2 characters, one that you really like to play, and the other character should be somebody with a different playstyle and element. Let's say you really love playing as a damage dealer. Obviously, you should build up their weapons and skills and feed them well generally. But as you decide to build up a second character, who do you dump your resources into? Well, pick a support, or vice versa if you prefer playing a more supportive role normally. The main reason for this is you'll get the most direct benefit for your main character by having them tag along as a party member in solo play, so nothing really goes to waste. And when you hop onto multiplayer, you may run into an enemy that's a bit stronger than what you can handle, or maybe you just don't have enough damage to really dent it. This is where your support character comes into play, cause now you can make sure your party member has a higher chance of survival and deal more damage, so they can carry you to the reward screen where you'll get new materials that you can then funnel into your favorite characters. A quick note, if your character is too far below the power rating for a certain quest, you will not be able to join. But I may have an underhanded way to brute force this little limitation. Based on the demo, it seems that the power rating is more heavily impacted by raw stats, so sigils like health up or attack up tend to provide more value, even though conditional percent-based sigils like combo booster or amnesty may be stronger as an attack boosting sigil. So you could stack health on your support, which would raise your power rating, which would allow you to join in higher difficulty quests to get better rewards for your main character who may not be as strong at the current time. Even if you never really want to play support, I highly recommend at least learning one, so that way you'll understand what the support player on your team is thinking and wanting to do, so you can synergize better with them. It also helps that Gran or Jita can make very excellent support units with skills like Panacea to heal others, Phalanx to grant your party up to 70% damage reduction, that is huge, and even Armor Break to reduce an enemy's defense by up to 25%. Those numbers are pretty significant, and if you do Armor Break before your Skybound Art Chain, you're going to be dealing massive amounts of damage. So if nothing else, you really should be building one support unit that can grant your team significant party buffs, just like Gran or Jita. Alongside this, while you're playing through story mode, be sure to hit random pots in the map, as you may run into a slime. Slimes drop extra money and gives you more XP, so it can be a nice way to get an early head start for your characters. Before we continue, who is your favorite character to play so far in Granblue Fantasy Relink? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're having a good time, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing for more Granblue Fantasy Relink content. Thanks. Tip number 4. try out different characters. The cast of Granblue Fantasy Relink is vibrant and colorful, with each character sporting a unique playstyle or gameplay gimmick. For example, if you found one character too simple, maybe you want to switch to somebody more complex with layers of mechanics like Narmaya or Siegfried. If you want somebody with a more cozy playstyle, maybe pick a long-range gunner so that way you can sit in the back and pew 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 your way to victory. And regardless, if you want to maximize your damage for any given boss in multiplayer mode, you're gonna have to take advantage of the elemental weakness anyways, so building and learning at least one character per element is never a bad idea. Some characters may be stronger when piloted by a human compared to the AI anyways. A notable example for me would be Jordan, who in the right hands can grant his entire party limited immunity to attacks in a consistent manner. Tip number 5. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the many systems and characters within Granblue Fantasy Relink and are not sure on how to really build characters, don't worry, I've got you. First, identify how you want to use the character in your party. Will you be using them as damage or as support? Specifically for support, who can rally your team with an emergency heal? Some characters who are more offensive in nature can be deceptively supportive, so make sure to check out the available skills to see if they have any team buffs, because those are amazingly strong and should be considered if you are not piloting the character. Anyways, once you find the answer to that for your party composition, here's a general sigil template that will work decently well on anybody until you get a better feel for how they play, and then you can customize to your liking. For damage dealing characters, attack up, combo booster, tyranny, stamina, stun power, crit rate, and quick cooldown are all great choices. If you have a full group playing, really highly consider stun power if all the characters that you are playing have stun, because this is a great way to build up link time for your team. And link time offers so many great buffs and rewards while slowing down the enemy. This slowdown alone gives you such a substantial boost to your DPS before we consider anything else, so I highly recommend, if you're in a team comp that can abuse it, spam stuns on enemies to get more link attacks, which will build up link time to get that link time to just repeat that loop over and over again. It sounds busted and I really want to try it. On the other hand, support characters benefit from guts, health boosts, SBA boosts, quick cooldown, and debuff resistances. I find quick cooldown to be universally good on everybody because this game's skill system is strictly cooldown based with no other resources tied to them. Some characters may have stocks related to their skills, but this is not the case for everybody. You may also run into sigils that provide boost in money, drop rate, or XP, and I would highly recommend using these especially early on in the game to start building up your resources quicker. And there you have it. I hope these tips help you on your skyfaring adventures. If you have any more tips you would like to share with your fellow adventurers, leave it in the comments below. For more useful information, check out this video on screen right now. My name is Varsona, and I'll see you in the next video.